Hey guys, it's Big Homie Tim here, back again with another video here we got going on, some hand history reviews. So we're going to get right into it here. We're on the button with King 5, we raise it up, get called, see a flop, second pair, okay, we check back the flop, and he bets out, and we call, and he checks, and on the river here we have a pretty good hand. We probably have the best hand. We know we can call with worse, so we're going to go and bet here and get called by an 8. Okay, next hand here we got pocket 8s. Go ahead and raise it on the button, get called, flop comes down, and then he checks. Here we're just going to check back with the 8s. King comes down, checks, we bet, he calls, and then another 10, and he checks, and you might be tempted to check this down, but think about what he probably has here, you know, 10 or king, doubtful, but I could definitely see him having a 6 or a deuce or ace high or something like pocket 7s, pocket 5s. He can call with all those things, so we go and bet, and he calls with a 6. Okay, next hand we're going to look at 5-10, raise, get called, flop a straight draw. Okay, he checks, we bet it, calls, jack comes off on the turn, he checks, we're going to barrel that, calls, and then the 5 hits. So although we do have some showdown value, we could probably get him to fold a 6 or a 7 by going all in here. So that's what we do, and he folds. Okay, then we have 4-9 here on the button. We raise, get called, flop comes down, we have a straight draw again, and he pots it into us. Go ahead and call. Jack comes down and he checks. We overbet all in, and he folds. Then we have the king 10. He raises, and we're just going to call here. Flop 2 overs. We check. He checks. 5 hits. We bet. He calls, and then the river comes, and we overbet, and he folds. Alright. We're seeing sort of a common theme here of having to bet very big in order to get someone to fold any kind of small pair, but it seemed to work pretty good sometimes. Here we got 5-4, calls, flop is monotone, bet it, calls, checks, and then make the small bet to set it up for a stack size shove on the riv. Calls, and then he checks to us on the river, and we go all in, and he folds. We ship the pot, pretty standard. Okay, let's look at this hand. We get limped into with a7, we raise, he calls, we flop top pair, bet small, that induces him to raise, and we re-raise, and he is 10-8. Okay, pretty straightforward, ace-5 this time, he limps into us, we just check to him with the flush draw here, he bets pot, we call with what is likely the best hand, check it, he bets, and we call again, check it, he bets, we call again, and we win with ace high. Okay, king 8, raise, get called, flop comes down, and he bets into us, min bet, we raise, calls, turns an ace, he checks, and we bet, and he folds. So maybe a bottom pair or something, who knows, sort of straight draw or something, but we're betting here, you know, planning on probably barreling the river a lot of the time too, but as it is, he folds on the turn. Ace 8 here, look at this hand, see what's really going on. Get limped into out of the big blind, we raise, calls, flop top pair here, we bet, kind of small, you know, something we could easily do as a bluff. It's pretty easy to balance, especially when stacks are shallow and it's not going to be hard to get the money in. Calls, and then we take a little tricky check line on the turn here, and that gets him to bet. We go all in, he calls, and he's got Jack Deuce. Okay, looks good. 8-5. Get limped into, check. This flop comes down, we check. He bets, and we check raise him. Calls, the king hits, and we're going to barrel that. Calls, and then we barrel the river on this deuce here. Trying to mainly, you know, get him off a 7 or a 4. And then anything else like, you know, draws that missed. Ace highs, that sort of stuff. And he does fold. Alright, let's keep moving. We got Jack King here. Raise the button, get called. Flop top 2 pair. He donks min bet into us. We raise. Calls. 9 comes in. 200 he bets. We're just going to call here. And then, interesting, he checks to us on the river. I think we definitely need to... I mean, it's thin, but we probably have the best hand if he's willing to check to us on the river here, so maybe just a small little teeny tiny bet against this guy who may be a little bit unsuspecting. I don't know, I only have 4 hands on him, so I mean, I wouldn't do this against someone who would definitely try to exploit me, but in this case it worked out. Next hand here, King 9, get limped into, we raise. Okay, flop, and then we c-bet here, calls, and then we bet the turn. Okay, and he folds. So barrel in the 3-bet pot. Works sometimes, you know, we have equity. And let's look at this hand lastly. 8-10, we raise, he calls. Flop is all queens, he min bets into us. Raise, calls, 5 goes on the turn, and he bets into us again, and we decide to boom, drop in bombs, and he folds. So that's it for this lesson, little kiddies. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you later. Peace.